listening to Opie and Anthony. On the virus, Sirius XM.
Alex from the Ice Road Truckers. How are you, sir?
How you doing, sir?
Can we start with the truck, Alex? We're all talking about your truck.
What truck?
That's your truck outside, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. That thing is the biggest truck we've ever seen in the New York area, and
It's the record, right? I think
We're
it's
trying to get
record.
we're trying to get into Guinness. It's 430 inches, 45 feet long.
45 feet long.
The red giant. It's still a work in progress, even though it's just about completed. The CB radio
you
is
got
still on the
that.
floor, and
yeah.
a couple items.
Nice.
The hydraulics. I don't know if you noticed. There's two screens on the side. They're
Yeah.
5 by 11 feet. Those screens come out, and they're supposed to lift up to roof height. That's made by
Really?
LED television screens, but they aren't lifting yet. They just stay down low.
And you got that truck into New York in one piece, or did you break it down?
Well, this took us 2 days. It was yesterday.
2 days.
We thought we were finished yesterday. All we could find was low bridges and nice highways that fit the truck, except only meant for cars to get it inside. Then we had
Did you have a problem at the GWB, I'm hearing?
Well, we had a whole new set of permits. We're going on Fox and Friends here shortly, and we thought we'd blown the show because we just couldn't get in.
Couldn't get in, yeah.
And then we got one of the escort services brought us in, and everything they decided to hold us over, and everything worked out well.
I go
good for
crazy
you.
just driving an Escalade around these goddamn streets. I couldn't imagine trying to navigate that thing through some of the streets.
Well, you
in,
notice
New
there's a
York
steering axle right in the middle, eh?
City. Oh, is that it?
Well,
So
I
you
mean,
kinda-
it helps. The truck is so long, if it didn't have the axle in the middle of the track,
you'd be wiping out every corner.
Well, no, the truck would just bend. It needs that for support. Plus
Yeah.
So we usually need at least 2 lanes to turn, sometimes 3, depending how bad.
Wipe
the
out
corner
some pain in the ass pedestrians too that stand on the corner too close to the road.
You're not getting
Stand them.
You're not going to get the truck out of here anytime soon, then, because I mean, this city is a little busy.
Well, I mean, if the right fellows come to give us a hand, Hoboken and Ridgewood, the boys come out with the red lights, and I'll tell you.
Oh, I see what
These
you're
guys
saying.
know how to move vehicles
I
and
see.
stop vehicles.
They certainly
Oh, you're
do.
going to get the special treatment today.
Of course.
Oh, that
I was
rules.
hoping to come into Times Square with the motorcycle cops helping us out, but they were busy.
That'd be nice.
11 kids. God bless you, man.
Yeah, we have 10 grandchildren.
10 grandchildren.
My oldest grandchild is as old as you guys are.
Wow, wait. No. How old are you?
Yeah, you look.
You don't look old. To have
We live in North Alaska. Alaska, the Northwest Territories. You breathe that air and drink that water. I'm ancient, but you
that
stay
is a
looking
lot.
young up there.
Wow.
fucking.
How old do you think he is? He won't tell us.
I don't know. Can't figure
Now
that
I
out.
know that he's got. He says he's got kids. You don't have. You couldn't have kids as old as we are, but you have.
I bet he does.
Nah, no way.
I'm 95. Really, the
Alaskan
water
air.
and the air up there is just perfect. It'll keep anything,
Preserves you.
I'm worried if I stay here more than 2 days, I'm going to start to sag as I
Yeah,
cool
you
out.
probably will. Get out of Dodge, man.
Melt a little bit.
The now you'd been driving a truck up there for years. What did you think when you were approached to do a TV show based on this? Was it kind of like, what are you talking about? This is just my job.
No. The good Lord puts different things in one's path every day, and you have to make a decision, yes or no, and then down the road, sometimes it's the wrong decision. You'll have to do something different, and you just make choices every day. They come up. I was doing my job. We've seen lots of cameras on the road. European, German, English, Asian, American cameras, because people are interested in the North. Like we're out, the places that you spend $6,000, $7,000, I don't know, $10,000 to go fishing up there. Well, we drive on those lakes, and we think, well, we'd like to come fishing in the summer, except we'd have to hire a plane and everything else to get in there. And so a lot of people find it interesting. These guys come up, and we see them on the road, and I've thought about, it'd be kind of interesting to be on a documentary or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they showed up and decided to make a show, and they went looking for characters. And the folks in town all pointed in my direction and said, well,
Is that it? Yeah.
if you need a character, go see Devagorsky, because I've done a number of things. Sometimes life can be boring. I ran for mayor one time. People are saying, well, what did you run for mayor for? I said, well, I need teeth. So I didn't get elected, so just in case you're wondering, I still need teeth. As a matter of fact, the other day I ran into a lady, and she's saying, I'm getting a new set of teeth. I said, well, if you got a mouth as big as mine, and maybe I can get your old ones.
What's wrong with your teeth? They look fine.
Well,
but you're on the side, the good side. So
Oh.
that's-
Got a couple of missing.
oh my God, he's gonna kill us.
Yeah, that really is. That's the sound you hear as a shallow grave is being dug.
How long have you been driving up there?
well, I've lived up there 35 years.
And you've
on
been
top of
driving,
the
just
22
driving
or
on
so.
ice the whole time.
Since about the 80s. I have a business of my own. I just drive in the wintertime up north in the bush on the ice, and in the summertime I make topsoil and dig holes, haul gravel. I understand that you're. How many addictions do you have?
Oh God, plenty.
Cars.
Yeah. I like cars.
Yeah. I've got 150 in my front yard. People think I have a junkyard as a collection. I do have a couple of drag lines and maybe a half a dozen 8 big trucks. Yeah.
Are you a hoarder?
They all run.
I got sheds full. I don't consider. I'm a collector.
Yes, that's what they say. I'm not a hoarder. I'm a collector.
Only people that collect understand people that collect what the reason is. You can't. You don't even know how to verbalize it. But I understand your problem.
I can see a crossover show. I throw truckers and hoarders.
Yeah, no
Hoarders can't verbalize it either, though. So why do you need that? It's a feeling. They just know.
You're saying danger, though. That really driving truck. There's 40,000 Americans a year die on the highways of America. It's 120 a day. That's more than all the NATO troops, American troops, Canadian troops, German, Polish, all the guys in Afghanistan, Iraq, and all over the place.
It's dangerous out there.
And the guys out there, they're basically in a war zone.
Yeah.
And, every day, things happen. You drop your phone, look down, you got a problem half the time. Everybody scares the pants themselves once a day. But what happens, a lot of guys, I'll talk to guys, I don't do that dangerous shit, And the guys, I said, you forgot. Because you start out, you get your load, you tie it down, you go down the road, have all the worries of making sure it doesn't fall off. You deliver it, and once it's in the bank, you have a beer, you forget about it. Because the next load you're working on, you're thinking about that. You just totally forget about the last one.
Yeah.
And then they just don't remember. You're looking forward rather than backwards.
Sure.
I've seen a couple places on, where it showed me sliding down the hill in the show.
Yeah.
And I thought, where the heck did they get that from? And that's only a couple of months ago. Like, if I didn't do that.
I
thought they were scripting or something. And then I saw a show. I figured, that was bad. I remember now.
Because you just put it out of your mind once it's done. It's like, we slid. I slid again.
No, at the time, it's bothersome. I mean, that's why I had to have a hemorrhoid operation, and the darn things come back,
Oh, shit. That's a trucker's worst thing.
Yeah, it's really
hemorrhoids.
bad. A medical situation, you have to sit on it.
Shit, man. Jesus.
A lot of people call me that, but I'm not him. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah. I hear you. I've seen a few episodes where guys are driving and you'll hear a noise and be like, "Uh-oh, I got to get out." And the bundling up of getting out, because what's the temperature?
Well, I mean, it's like you guys. You're all sitting, what here, commando? What do you call it down here or something? You guys don't got underwear on.
I have underpants.
Well, you got up north, you wear underwear. I mean, I had them with me. I had them on the other day in Hoboken. The wind was blowing. It was really cool. You wear it's like light T-shirt material, but it's full body.
Full body, right?
That's for the fall. And then you go heavier and heavier, and then the winter comes. I mean, you're walking around in your shirt sometime, you look like you got nothing on. You're really tough, but really got long johns on, and they're keeping you warm.
What kind of temperatures
you dress for it?
about?
You put one balaclava on. If the wind starts howling, starts hitting 60, 70, 80, 100 below, you put a second balaclava on to cut the wind.
Below.
You got a snow machine suit over top your clothes, which are over top of your long johns. You got all these layers on there. It's comfort. Like 45 below, I'll tell you, it's fantastic. The air is crisp and clean. At night, you can the northern lights, and you see them, you can actually hear them. You can hear them crackle just from the cold. They change color. It's fantastic. And even in the big storms and blowing, it's 100 below. It's neat to be out there. As long as you're dressed for it. If you're not dressed for it, you're only going to...
dead.
Well, what happens is when hypothermia starts setting in, and you really get cold, you start feeling hot, even though you're freezing. And a lot of guys, you'll find them frozen in the snowbanks. You start taking your clothes off until you're naked. You feel so hot. And basically, it's the exact opposite because of the way the brain works.
Yeah.
And there you are running through the snowbanks and...
The biggest nightmare
the wolves,
thing is
if the wolves don't drag you away, or the coyotes or the wolverines or the
they
polar
might
bear,
find you.
Yeah,
100 below. Space is like 300 below.
Space.
That's how cold space is, right? It's like 300 degrees below zero, I think.
It's almost space.
Yeah.
Well, just take...
You're a third of the way to space.
You'd have to eat a tablespoon of maple leaf lard every morning. That helps make you... And also, that's a natural way of getting rid of wrinkles. You just have a tablespoon of lard every morning till the wrinkles disappear. You don't have to use Botox.
Wait, you eat it?
It's naturopathic.
Oh, boy, Jimmy's going to go find some good stuff now.
it's fine.
Because as you see, like, you don't have many wrinkles because you're a little heavier. So as you fill out, the wrinkles disappear. I'm the funniest guy I know.
He's the funniest guy he knows.
Oh,
Take every opportunity I can to laugh at one of my jokes.
I love Alex.
Yes, I saw.
I got to read your book now.
Do you love me?
Well, not in that way. So.
I'm taking donations, anything over 20, because I can't count under 20.
Yeah,
buy a new set of teeth. Buy some clothes for the kids.
We haven't even talked about your book, and you sold me. I got to now. I'm just listening to you. I gotta read this book, King of the Road. Now, I just have to.
It's my memoirs.
True tales from a legendary ice road trucker.
There's always things happening around me ever since I was young. Not always good things.
When it's 40, 50, and well, you even said 100 degrees below, and you're dressed for it, but aren't you nervous that if something happens to your rig, now you're out there in the elements?
Well, the problem is we live
That's
there.
what I would be freaked out
One of the problems
about.
is that some guys do freeze to death, not dressed properly. People that live there, because when you live there, you take it for granted. You get in your car, you drive your truck, things always run. A lot of people, most people don't go prepared. I tend to, when I go on the road, I've got lots of stuff. I have no room in the truck because I got tools and I got parts. I carry tow. I got a big tow rope. You don't be surprised. Like a lot of people, they don't have this stuff. I can pull other trucks out of the ditch, especially if I'm loaded, and dress for it. A lot of people, you get used to everything running, you get used to warm, and then all of a sudden something happens and you're stuck. And that's where the problem is. Because you're used to it, you don't prepare. You'd be surprised how little Northerners that live in that stuff don't prepare.
Take it for granted,
Aboriginal people and stuff, they just take it for granted. They're traveling in the land, they're not geared up good enough, and then something happens. A bunch of coincidences. The machine breaks down. The guy that said he's going to meet you didn't show up. Maybe you go through the ice or go into overflow and get wet on top of all this.
What's going through overflow?
And your mattress overflows. When we're on the ice, a lot of times as the lake settles, as the snow builds up, the ice it'll push like the whole lake. I mean, anything on that ice is creating weight. When you got a whole lake and it's got a foot of snow or 2 feet of snow, maybe the weather warmed up, maybe it rained a bit, makes that.
It's pushing the ice down.
And then the ice pushes down.
And then you get some water.
The layer of water comes on
rising.
top.
the first time you saw that, did you think you were drowning or you were about to go through the fucking lake?
We do have on occasion. For instance, there was a time it come when there's overflow and it's only we know that there's at that point there we knew that there was a stream that was flowing in that area or a river that was potentially crossing the road. So you're not sure if it wore the road, because ice will not stay. Like ice might be 3 feet thick, but it doesn't stay 3 feet thick. It gets thicker, but sometimes it gets thinner. As you drive on it or there's currents, it'll wear out. So it might get thinner in it, depending on what the currents are doing. And there was lots of overflow. There was fairly deep. So I turned the truck around, put the chains on all 4 wheels in the back, and then the first time I learned the hard way. The first time I did this, left the mud flaps down, but tie your mud flaps up and then back the mud flap end of the truck, the back end of the truck, into the overflow and break ice with the trailer. And then so that if it's going to sink, the trailer would go down.
The trailer's going to go first.
Back the truck through the chains give you traction because you don't want to get inside that overflow, like 2 feet of water at 25 below, and all of a sudden here you spin out and you got to go and stand in this water up to and lay down or try to get chains on. So you make sure you get chains on, back through the bust all the ice with the trailer, which the boss probably doesn't like to see, but he does want to get the load there. Like the first time, took the mud flaps off because I left the mud flaps down because the ice in the top.
Why take them off?
Well, because when the truck goes through and it breaks the ice, all of a sudden the mud flaps are hanging in the water, and the tires are pushing the mud flaps against the ice, turning, and they rip the mud flaps off. Okay. And they get excited about that. I mean, I don't have to worry about the truck. I own the truck, but the guy owns the trailer. When you bring the trailer back and there's parts missing off it,
they get a little mad.
When you do your pre-trip, you put down missing mud flaps before you start the trip, but you wait till after the trip. Banged up reefer. Well, my truck is a little short, so the reefer's probably going to hit the headache racks. You do the pre-trip. But reefer's banged up.
You pre-break it.
I pre-broke it on the paperwork. Yeah.
Little tricks of the trade.
Anyway,
so you back it onto the lake to make sure.
Well, no, I mean, we were on the lake, and all of a sudden there's an area of water on the lake in the middle of winter. And if you figure it's okay, but but then what happens? Along comes my buddy Roman behind me. My bumper's higher, and he's got a Texas bumper, and it's down to about this high off the ground. And he comes through it frontwards. Even the way after I got back the trailer, bust all the ice, turn the trailer around, drive through forwards. Was bumper so low. It's too bad I didn't have a can. He picked all that ice, all that broken ice. He was picking it up with the bumper because his bumper's underwater.
Wow, yeah.
And he's got a 89. He had an 89 International, and the ice just built right up his grill till it was literally getting ready to come right over. When he come out of that that hole of ice there, it was actually ready to go on top of his hood. He knocked a bunch of lights off and things like that. Like, I couldn't believe it. Holy mackerel, you're pushing that whole wall of ice with your grill.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I didn't understand it. So you got the ice. There's a river through the ice.
There's a river underneath the ice. In some places, there's currents under the ice because in the lake, there might be a river entering the lake and leaving the lake on opposite ends of the lake or crossways. And then you've got ice over top of it. So there's a current running that way. And then somehow the water gets up on top of the ice. Maybe it froze down to the bottom. Sometimes you end up with only, because of pressures, there's springs out in the swamp. And all the water will start coming up and just start.
How come you don't go through the fucking ice completely into the water below?
Because the ice below was heavy enough to carry me. There was only this much of the ice was bad on top.
Maybe he's doing like 9-10 inches or a foot. And how thick is ice for you to be able to drive a truck like that on? It has to be.
Well, I mean, when you start building it, it's one thing. There's the guys that build the ice road. There's guys that have to go out and prep and make it. They got to take the snow off it initially. Okay, we're going to have an ice road. So now they get out there end of November and beginning December, and somebody's got to go out there and measure it. Okay, we're going to take the snow machine and with these... either with ice augers, which is a manual, old-fashioned way, or they go out and they have this electronic gadget that's got radar, looks through the ice. They say, okay, we can get now we can get a machine with a plow on those snow groomers, the big wide tracks, low ground pressure, with the big blade, and then they move the snow off. The snow is an insulating factor. So they get about 16, 18 inches of ice. It depends on who it is and how adventuresome they are and who's watching them do it. They'll get out there, knock the snow off it, and then they'll start moving. As you move back and forth the ice, you start driving the frost in. You take the insulating blanket of snow off, and then the weather itself starts freezing it. And then the water trucks come onto it and start watering it. And then we got portages. Between every lake, every 2 lakes there's land, and it's called a portage. So we cross the land. So then up on the portage, they're full of holes and everything. Like, they don't go there and level them all out. Because you can't reach them in the summertime when the ground's thawed out. So now you come up and you take a mixture of snow and water trucks and graders, and you fill all the holes in, you smooth it over. And so you get like a highway in between and down to the next lake, plow the snow off.
They prep the road.
So those guys, they're
no
15,
idea.
20, they're probably around 20 inches. I've been in 18, 20 inches of water truck, where I have to load water. Got a hole in the ice. I'm loading water half asleep and out there a little bit longer than I should be. And as you're pumping water into the truck is getting heavier, and you're sitting on the ice, and I suddenly realize that the water's kind of coming out of the hole and halfway up my shoe. I'm thinking, what the heck, I think I got enough water. I'm getting out of here and go dump your load, half a load, of course. But then when they take us on there, I think it's 28 to 32 inches of ice when you get the first loads. They take light loads, 5,000 pounds in a tractor trailer, like in a van, toilet paper, insulation, whatever, because they need everything up there. You got 600 men. Prudhoe Bay, got 14,000 men and women up there, so they need everything from toilet paper to heavy equipment parts. They send the light loads, and then the first day maybe 3 trucks go out, like north of Yellowknife, and then maybe 6, 10 by the 15th. You're running 100, 150, 200. By the end of the month, you're running all 800 trucks are starting.
800 trucks going
on a real big year, 12,000 load year. That sometime they'll have somewhere between Edmonton, which is 1,000 miles south of us, and up there in the mines, there's 800 trucks going round and round trying to move the equipment. Well, like you say, between us and Houston. I mean, there's lots of times looked in a bunch of stuff come out of all the way up down the western seaboard. It might even come out of New York if it's specialty equipment. British Columbia, it comes from all over the place. Actually, all over the world, some of the equipment.
Wow. How do you talk
They
about?
went out there in the barren lands, not a tree in sight, in the middle of nowhere. Spent over $1.5 billion for a couple of those mines to build a mine. I thought, like, what the heck? Just put the money in the bank and collect the interest. I mean, any interest, like anything, would be a lot of money.
Building a mine up there.
They went out and built
middle of nowhere. I saw a guy his brakes went locked up on him. His brakes locked up, and he had to get a torch. And he's sitting out there just banging with a hammer and a torch. And to me, it looked like the worst night you could spend doing anything. It was
It gets worse than that.
Freezing cold.
You're under there at 40 below. You're with one of your dump valves, and you're underneath the trailer, and you're heating that, and you're turning up your torch, and you melt the plastic airlines off, and now you got to fix the airline, and then worry about the thing, and it just goes one thing. Oh my God!
So you melted the actual
up
truck.
There in Alaska, we've got Lisa Kelly. I don't know if any of you know who.
Oh
Lisa
yeah.
You guys just watch the guys.
She's the hottie.
Oh, you do watch the girls too.
Oh yeah.
The guys in New York maybe are normal, eh? I heard so many terrible things. About New York. And
No. We like women.
Is this your first time in New York?
Might as well say that.
Might as well.
I was here once before. They just put me by Central Park there. And in the stall with the horses.
Bed him down with the horses.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. They put me in a hotel. You guys live pretty good here.
That ain't bad.
I don't know who's paying for the hotel. Pretty nice hotel.
Probably History Channel.
Well, hopefully they don't chase me down the street as I head west.
Alex, you got a lot of fans calling in here. They want to ask about India.
So anyway, the whole thing of having Lisa there and chains, you can always get Lisa to help you out.
Wow.
She actually
All right.
volunteered to help me out one time.
Yeah, she's pretty good with the chains.
I know
I'll
that.
just
Yeah,
tweet.
well, she knows her stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
the chains weigh more than she does, so there's a math problem.
I
You
saw,
go,
I saw the episode too where she had to help. I never knew this was done. Up the hills with a heavy load. Got to take 2 trucks.
Push truck.
A push truck.
You have push trucks coming right into New York here when they're bringing big loads with all these axles.
Yeah.
Like this pilot car guy, this high, wide, and heavy that brought us in. He was telling us they bring these huge loads like axle after axle after axle, and it's so heavy that you need a push truck to push it on flat ground, let alone push it up the hill.
Wow, really?
Like they brought one of those boring machines that you guys make your tunnels for your subway stuff, and they brought one down here and unloaded it in the middle of the night, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to me to be pretty difficult maneuver there to get your bumper right up against the trailer of the other truck. And now you can't see anything in front of you. You completely are depending on the trucker in front.
You're flying by instruments, and you depend on him. You're not supposed to touch the steering wheel.
Yeah,
So
you take
wanna-
your hands off the steering wheel. And it's odd because when the lead truck is turning, your truck will actually turn with it. There's something about coming from that area that makes you, like, I guess, healthier, strong men.
Yeah, you have to.
You're a real man.
You have to know how to deal with soil and stuff because you can die. we never have I'm going to die weather here. We have like, oh, it's cold and we run in.
We bitch a little bit.
I thought I seen it on
Plows.
TV at a tornado once right here on the Parkway.
Yeah, that was
everybody-
recently. Yeah, but that was
everyone
once. That was
loses
once.
They lose their mind. Everybody freaks out
Everyone was
about
fine
it.
in the
That's
end.
top of Mount Everest temperature.
Well, the fellow that lost his wife probably wasn't very happy about it.
Right. Well, yeah, but I was
not.
almost late for the airport because of that. I mean, not to minimize his
So
loss.
you were really upset.
Oh, my God.
You just blew the horn the whole way.
I really did not handle it well.
Your finger hasn't recovered. That's why I've got a cast on your middle finger because
No, that's not why. I wish that was why.
Hey, Alex, where do you guys call home? Like, how far up is it?
well, my home is in Curtis. We're in Yellowknife Northwest Territories in the North Shore of Great Slave Lake. We've got 3 territories. We've got a number of provinces, 3 territories across the top. So you got Alaska, which is America, and then the East Alaska, the Yukon Territory, which is about 23,000 people. Then the Northwest Territories, which is twice the size of Texas, but we only have 40,000 people. Half of us are Aboriginal, mainly Indian people and some Inuit people there. And then you move farther east, it's called Nunavut, and it's mainly all Inuit people or Eskimo people. And when they split the territory, they made it Northwest Territories and Nunavut. We used to say none of it, and we're the rest of it. But
Wait, so 40,000 people in an area that big? Wow.
Canada
Alex,
only has 35 million roughly, which is the population of Mexico, the area of Mexico City or Mumbai.
And it's mostly on the border.
And it's huge.
Point to where you live on the, just so we can have an
We're looking at a
idea.
map.
Well, you're looking there. It says.
It's New
I think
Jersey.
it says A. Yeah, see A.
That's where you, that's where you
the
live.
lake?
That's Yellowknife. That's the lake. Yeah, there you got her.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's the
up
city
there.
right there. If you keep going, you're going to see my house.
Good
The book
bit
is
of,
mainly my memoirs, a bit about the family coming from Europe, the carrying on. I mean, trying to get my wife's cousin to put his art. We tried to do a family portrait one time with a bear. We had a female bear and a cub out in one of the parks, and I talked Fred into going over and trying to get the bear to stand up, put his arm around the bear's shoulder so he could have mom, dad, and the cub. Fred used to have a beard and long hair, and I thought they looked a lot alike. And when he went to grab the bear went bananas, and I was so busy yelling for him to hang on to the bear. I never really got much of a picture. I was laughing so hard I got a picture of a lot of stuff instead of Fred the bear.
That's
a
what
real
fucking
man.
men do to joke
But the
around.
bear, the bear
Jimmy
never,
shows his asshole. Jeez, it's the same thing.
like what the heck? None of you guys been bit by a bear?
No.
I can't say I
No.
Heck,
Never seen one.
I shot my first bear when I was 13, and the first shot went right through his back legs and right through his balls, and then I had to go track him in the bush, and I didn't know enough. I had a 303 Lee Enfield, and I had savage cells in it, which you do not do because they can explode in the chamber, and I only had 2. But anyway, the bear, I ended up cutting and wrapping and putting them in the deep freeze. An old fat Newton that lived back in the bush gave me $35, which is a lot, about $100 and some because that was back in 60.
Yeah, different.
Back in the 60s,
Yeah, different rate.
1860s or 1960s. I can't really remember.
So you shot the bear through the balls? Oh, you don't play games.
No, I didn't mean to. I realized that when I skinned him because he didn't. He just took off.
Are you ever scared of animals? being
Oh,
way up there?
Well, I'm scared. I'm scared of the dark too, but I go out there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm scared of lots of stuff.
What kind of animals you got to look out for when you're living up in that area? Obviously the bears.
Well, like if you find a Wolverine in your pants and you go to put them on in the morning, you don't. Well, you just let them have the pants. You're going to work without pants. I mean, you just don't go near.
We don't
them.
have to deal
And
with
then
Wolverines.
everyone
I
will
mean,
say,
wolves,
hey, he must
they
have had a
don't-
Wolverine in his pants. That's why he's got no pants.
It's better. Answer better.
Yes.
You have Wolverines up there or no?
There's Wolverines. You got the lynx. Of course, the wolves, moose and buffalo and bear, black bear. Get a little bit farther north, bear and land grizzly. You get into Alaska. Well, they got the big Kodiaks and stuff there. I mean, you just about barely get through the door.
You a big hunter? You like?
I've got guns. I used to hunt. I don't hunt.
Yeah.
I made a deal with the fish. I said, you leave me alone, I leave you alone. I mean, I drive on the ice.
Oh yeah.
No problem. We're not
No
gonna have
revenge.
I'm not. It just costs a lot of money and time. You got 11 kids. Well, I mean, the kids are growing up. The oldest is 38. The youngest one is 11. But we still have 3 at home. We have grandkids in the basement. So you're busy trying to provide, and it's really easy to go to the grocery store and really
Just pick
the wild
something up
meat's wild
instead
bet. We just buy something that's full of all the different chemicals and other things that are in some of the meat we buy today, and you just eat that.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got a lot of fun memories, though.
Well,
and
I mean,
you've done a lot of things. That's always good.
Yeah, no,
Makes
I
for
have a
interesting
real
life.
cross section of experience. Which is kind of neat because I meet a lot of people. People come to meet me, and I give them advice about different stuff. I do ministry in the jail. I'm a Roman Catholic, practicing traditional Roman Catholic, old-fashioned. I'm not a good example of Christianity, but I'm a much improved version of what I once was. I like to say first because cover all grounds. I'm also a good example of a hypocrite sometimes, which I'm working on, really. And, but I do ministry in the jail. I do lock up, the whole segregation, remand, stuff like that with the guys. And if the guys want to pray, come pray.
That's a noble thing. Hey, is there a rule on that road where no matter what, if you see someone stranded, do you stop and give a hand? And do people stop for you?
If people need to, yeah, we stop. There's some people that don't, but it's still like when we're working in the north, generally people will stop. But there's still guys that don't. I mean, guys will stop. They need antifreeze. Guys will give you their antifreeze, give you their oil. I mean, I've brought guys back. Guys' tractors broke down. You load their truck on there, and they get a tow truck. It's going to cost a lot of money to get somebody else, hoping that down the road that generally the same guy isn't there when you break down. That somebody else will say, "Hey, I'll take your trailer. I'll take your truck and help you out." And sometimes you help people out, and nobody else helps you out. But that's the way it is. I mean, it's better. Like the whole thing is, if you really believe that the world is a worse place, that means every 6 billion people are all doing a little bit more bad than good. And if you think it's a better place, that means 6 billion people are doing a little bit more good than bad. And the way to make it that way is to do it yourself. And as soon as you become a giver rather than a taker, then you've changed the world. And then one more person, and it'll touch somebody else, and you'll make the world a better place. So you really don't worry about the people that may not come by. And what are you doing, patting my back there?
No, he's saying you got to go because
Your
you have a
son's
TV
telling you you have to
TV
go.
spot,
You
yeah.
got TV to do. Screw this radio crap.
Look at you all profound and everything. I like that.
It was great, man. And I recommend the book. That's I actually really want to read it now, and I want
King
to
of
watch
the
the
Road.
show because you're a very interesting guy. That's great.
Well, thank you
Alex
very much.
Debogorski.
So I can't talk you guys at $20 each or donation for the new teeth. Come on, I can't count under 20, or I'll take 5.
Yeah, he's got to get out of here. So, King of the Road is the book. Alex Debogorski. Thanks so much for coming in, man.
Have fun in New York.
The Virus. Sirius XM. This is the Opie and Anthony Show.